Welcome to the Strenuous Life Radio, the podcast where entrepreneurs, men and women, learn the essentials and soft skills of the strenuous life. And now, returning again for a while, your official host, JR Hendrick. Nice to be back in the saddle again. Jimmy and I are going to be going to Salt Lake, Utah tomorrow for a few days. I'll be chiming in every once in a while. I think it's time to talk about a few things. It's kind of important. Now, the title of this episode is called Persuasion Is My Forte. Now, I don't know who originally said it, but I know many of our leaders and presidents believe that. People say that Edward Bernays was the founder of public relations and public affairs. Can I be frankly who I really think it is? I don't know if Edward Bernays works for Adam. So I'm going to say Theodore Roosevelt. Because he was a man that knew how to use public relations and public affairs in a way that tore up the town. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Persuasion is my forte." Alright? The next president to have the guts to say that was Franklin D. Roosevelt. Now, whether you like or dislike his policies, I think many of them stink, but that's just me. He also felt like persuasion was his forte because many people were hurting from the Great Depression. The same thing with Theodore Roosevelt. People were hurting from the industrial age. People need reforms. So that's something. The next man I really felt like had the guts to say persuasion is my forte is John F. Kennedy. Let me tell you something. That man was a top-notch persuader. And I think he's with the ladies for that same thing, if you know what I mean. I admire John F. Kennedy. Another man, fellow Texan, Lyndon Johnson. He felt like persuasion was his forte. And yeah, he did continue with some of John F. Kennedy's agenda. But he screwed up in many ways because he tried to fight a war on two fronts. War in Vietnam and the war on poverty. And that was an economic disaster. Any economist will tell you that. Remember sitting in the feet of an economist at Texas Tech, and he said the same thing, and I agree. You can't fight a war on two fronts and expect for economic prosperity. It's just not going to happen. Now, next person to say it, and really mean it, was Ronald Reagan, as far as U.S. presidents. Let me tell you something. Ronald Reagan made Americans feel good about themselves at a time when inflation was going on, high gas prices, people were losing hope. Let me tell you something. People were losing hope, and Ronald Reagan knew exactly what to do. He used gentle persuasion. Peace through strength. Something which I believe in. Now, was he a perfect presidential leader? No. No doubt he made some people, probably on both sides of the aisle, angry. But for the most part, especially, I would say, toward the middle end part of the second term, people were feeling good. Couldn't blame Reagan. Next one, I feel like they've had the guts to say it. George W. Bush. Now, many people want to say he was one of the worst presidents of all time. I'm not going to touch that from a 10-foot pole because I do believe he used persuasion. Now, do I believe he used persuasion in the right way totally? No. I'm just going to be honest with you. No, I do not. You see, I think he had two fronts as well, just like his father. The war on drugs, the war on terror. Of course, the economy was steaming along just fine until about maybe, 2006. Precursor to the financial crisis. You can't tell me. Well, maybe even as far back as 2005. You can't fool me about that. See, I think by 2005 the Iraq War should have been over with. Toppled and done. But no. It turned into the Vietnam or quagmire. So I think the last president we had, other than John F. Kennedy, that really showed the guts in persuasion, was John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. Now, next president used persuasion, Donald Trump. Now, did I like everything he did? No. He shouldn't have been playing around with social media, especially something like Twitter. Jimmy and I don't even use Twitter. We barely use social media as it is, and if we do, we hang out most of the time in some proactive Facebook groups and stuff like that. So, you don't play around. You don't fart around with that. Trump used persuasion to get a lot of good legislation done. Protect the country. Now, I'm not going to wax political on this. You probably think, well, how can an entrepreneur or a leader use persuasion? Y'all ever heard of general persuasion? That's the best kind. And if persuasion is my forte, I think 98% of the time, it should be general persuasion. Only time you should use persuasive force, I think, is his last resort. Say, your life or your family life is in some ways in trouble. That's the only time I would use forceful persuasion. Rest of the time, I think it can be done gently. Now, am I a pacifist? No. And many of my friends in college are glad I'm not. But I'll tell you something. You need to stay strong in knowing that you can be persuasive. Now, with that, I hope you enjoy listening to Strenuous Life Radio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the Strenuous Life Radio family. This is JR Hendrick saying, don't just sit there and take it. I want you to get out there and build your dreams so you can take it. Do what others don't so you can be what others won't. And do what others won't so you can have what others can't. Like my daddy always said, think strong, live strong, and live the strenuous life. God bless each and every one of y'all. Y'all take care now, here. Speak to you in a couple of days.